Morning, morning. Oh, that was a tough one. Probably not going to forget that game for a long time. Michigan State with the buzzer beater from beyond half court. Where to begin? Because I would have loved to see overtime. That was such a great game. I could watch that game over and over again. The defensive execution, the defensive intensity, just everything about that game was awesome. So let's recap it from the Maryland side first because I think there's let's say three things, three main takeaways from the Maryland side as they lose a really heartbreaker to Michigan State. The first one from the team perspective, and then I got two for the individual players. From the team perspective, not a big deal they lost the game. It really not. They probably weren't going to be able to get the whole, win the Big Ten title. If they're not able to get a top four seed, it's a big loss. Would have been, being the 5 seed instead of the 4 seed for the Big Ten tournament is a big deal. So if this loss costs them that, then yes, I will retract that statement. But assuming Maryland can win 2 out of 3 and they still get the 4 seed, I think they can win all 3 of them. But let's say they just get 2 out of the last 3 games. If they get the double bye, then I'm going to look back on this game and be like, it's probably better that they lost it because they didn't deserve to win. Izzo was right after the game. He said it right on the court. Like Michigan State outplayed them. Their defense was fantastic. So overall, I don't think it's the biggest deal that Maryland lost this game. That character coming back down 9 uh, and calling a timeout and Willard drawing up beautiful plays. He did twice for Rice to hit threes and get all the way back. That was an awesome takeaway. Kind of figured they were just going to die and lose by 7 to 15 points once they were down by 9. Just felt like they couldn't get anything going, but they kept battling, got a couple whistles, and that was that. So that's the first thing. Maryland, not a big deal. Let's not read too much into that. Second, let's go to Gillespie. Um, you got to go to the basket. Like at the end of the day, it's not his fault that we lost, but it's his fault that he didn't go to the basket. If you miss a shot, you miss a shot. Like that's life. But as a coach, you just want the best possible shot you can get. And yeah, he created a lot of room. Yeah, he can make that shot. But yeah, it's also a really long 3-pointer in a tie game. And it's just not the best shot you can get. Michigan State had been called for a couple of fouls. Gillespie just got a cheap foul. Like Michigan State didn't foul that guy. I think it was Holloman actually that got called for the foul. The guy that made the game winner. He really didn't foul Gillespie. If you see the replay, the ball might have even gone off Gillespie. He at least hit the ball. But Maryland got the call, got the whistle, and that tied the game. So Rice got the steal, passed it to Gillespie, and Michigan State gets called for a foul. Gillespie got another foul call on a questionable drive to the basket a few minutes earlier. So the point is the calls were going our way, and it's loud. It's you're home. If Michigan State's if you go hard to the basket, there's a chance you get the foul. So that's number one. You gotta at least give yourself that chance. And then secondly, let Queen and Rice potentially tip the ball in, right? Like if you shoot the long three, it's going to be a long rebound. Like if you get that mid-range shot or you get to the basket, at least the ball's bouncing around. I mean, how many times have we seen that where the ball's just bouncing around and somebody taps it in? When you shoot the long three, there's no chance of it. Now, it's an unlucky bounce right to the kid like that and, take a dribble. But, that was just a bad shot by Gillespie. And then the other takeaway is Derek Queen I've been saying this. I'm trying not to be too hard on the guy. I know he's trying to get in better shape. I know it's hard to get into better shape while you're playing. Still a kid, still probably, fighting off a lot of the baby fat, but Michigan State's 2 big white guys, the Coopers, the Pala, and the other tall black guy, I'm forgetting his name. Those 3 guys, like, they're in way better shape than Derek Queen. And that's why he struggles and he couldn't there's the one play that was emblematic of it was going up against, I think it was Cooper, and he thought he was going to bulldoze him right in front of the Maryland bench. He's driving to the basket in the second half, and he picked up the dribble as he's doing that Euro step, thinking he was going to be closer to the basket, but the guy's built like a freaking wall. He's too far. He just clanks it off the backboard. Time and time again, Queen couldn't get to his spot. And even that last shot, that's probably why that ball went in and out. I mean, because we were down by 4, and the ball was in too. It was in twice, but he couldn't get to where he wanted to go, so he had to take a fadeaway jumper from the elbow. It's not the best shot in the world. Derek Queen is great. He has a chance to be an NBA pro for 10 years, but he was exposed yesterday for not being in tip-top shape. Michigan State's full of guys that are just in incredible shape. It's really hard not to root for Michigan State the way I love basketball and coaching and defense. They just do everything the right way. They don't have to double because they got these big, strong guys inside that aren't going to the NBA. They're just dogs. They're dogs, and they kept Queen away from the basket for most of the game, made him really ineffective. And then Julian Reese, who's in really great shape. He's just not as big as Queen, so his strength is, not as impactful as Queen's, but he's in great shape. And he had a move yesterday where he couldn't get to his spot a lot of times, but he finally did in the second half. He muscled, I think it was Cooper again, and just missed the right-handed dunk. And part of that is because you get a little tired. You have to use so much energy to get where you want to go against Michigan State. Michigan State's guard play, really solid. They got a bunch of guys, and they make shots, and they're tough to defend. They move the ball. They run. Michigan State's a really good team. So, but those are my two takeaways. Gillespie's got to get to the rim, and Queen's got to get in better shape. Period. Or Queen's got to be the best player on the team for us to go to the Final Four. Reese can be the best player in the game. Gillespie can be the best player in the game, and whatchamacallit, Rice, who might be the best NBA prospect on the team. The way he's shooting threes right now, that's NBA 3-point efficiency. He is. Ooh, what a beautiful shot. Then he put the ball on the floor yesterday. Rice was the best player on the court yesterday. And that just can't be the case if you're playing the elite teams. You can have moments throughout the season, it happens, where, like I just mentioned, the other guys are the best player and, maybe score the most points and have a standout game. But the offense, the machine's got to run through the big guy. Derek Queen forces the double teams. Maryland's guard play is not elite enough to go to the Final Four, and the defense isn't elite enough to go to the Final Four. But they're good enough that if Queen's elite, they can go to the Final Four. And that was the difference in the game yesterday. Queen's got it. We got to be able to throw him the ball on the block and force the double team because he's such a good passer. We'll see how much he improves down the stretch. I'm excited for it, but tough loss for Maryland yesterday. Michigan State, won't bet against them in March. Going to spend a couple minutes here. Tucker put out a statement yesterday. Definitely not doing another half an hour. Limit myself here to just about 5 minutes because I said everything I wanted to say yesterday on the Tucker situation. And then after I recorded, I thought about it, and I was like, did I miss anything? I'm gonna feel like a complete jackass if I find out that those 3 reporters from the Banner are all bad people and they all made this up, and the masseuses are all Tucker's ex-girlfriends from Texas. And I just got the whole story wrong because I certainly didn't hold back yesterday. So I thought about it, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think I missed anything, but I guess we'll find out. We'll see what happens. And then Tucker did me a favor, did everybody a favor yesterday by showing how much of an asshole he really is. He doubled down yesterday. His wife joined him in a statement. Roll my eyes at the wife. I don't, that's not my lane. That's a tough spot for her to be in. Who knows exactly what she is dealing with. So I'll leave her out of it. But Tucker's statement, and he doubled down and he embarrassed himself. He released it through Outkick, that publication that let's just say Outkick's politics are way different than the Dan Le Batard show's politics. So apparently Tucker thinks that by releasing the statement to Outkick, that the people reading Outkick the people that read that publication are being, oh, you're right. Shoo. You know what? Great statement. That's what I kind of thought was happening, Tucker. Kind of thought 16 women were all just making this stuff up. And, this just seemed like complete bullshit. I'm glad your wife is standing by you. Does he genuinely think the people that read Outkick, because their politics might be different than the people that watch the Dan Le Batard show, are just stupid or bad people? We can all have different politics. We can all be pro-mask or against the mask or vaccines or all that kind of stuff that kind of dripped into sports. And Outkick and the Le Batard show are on the far end. They bring politics into their sports. So the 3 reporters that decided to go on the Le Batard show, I would argue, who else invited them? Like, I don't know if that was political or that was the platform that invited them. Regardless, there was no politics on that show. There was 20 to 25 minutes of interviews, of questions about that. There was nothing about politics. So for Tucker to see that and be like, well, you know what? Let me put out a statement. And instead of just putting out another statement like he did initially, let me go through Outkick is, I think, makes him look even worse. Like, does he think that audience is going to be more sympathetic because that audience was sympathetic to Harrison Butker? Like, it's like, how stupid can you really be? The Harrison Butker is a political, social issues. This is not political and social issues. This isn't. This isn't believing women. This isn't the Judge Kavanaugh Supreme Court stuff. Like, this is not what's happening. You're a fucking kicker. You are a kicker. You are not part of anything. This isn't a political football where the people on the left or the people on the right want to be on one side of the issue. You're a kicker. No one cares about you at all. We care about fantasy and we care about you making field goals. Like, nothing else matters. If you think that you can make this political by saying, all right, well, these reporters were on the Levitard show, and what the left believes them, so the right's gonna believe. Is that really how stupid you think people are? Like that's very insulting. So made me feel even stronger that not only is he guilty of these things, but it's probably a lot worse. It's probably a lot worse than we even know at the moment, because to keep denying it like this, I mean, I literally volunteer at a Boys and Girls Club 4 or 5 days a week. His behavior reminds me of these little kids where they double down that they didn't do anything wrong until you have to sit there and they start crying. You threaten to call their parents, and then they're like, "Okay, it was me. I did." And it's like, come on, man! Like, just say you did it and apologize and be done. But he knows he can't admit this and then make the money off the field. And that's what this comes down to. Whether or not he'll kick again, he's got a lot of endorsements and he wants to go to the Hall of Fame, and he just doesn't believe that he can acknowledge this. He's got bad people in his ear because America's a forgiving country. I mean, just how many examples do you need? He should be donating to massage schools and he should be apologizing, period. And then there's actually room for him to go to the Hall of Fame because people forget and his numbers are going to be ridiculous. So it'd be hard to keep him out, especially when you have other characters in the Hall of Fame that have done a lot worse, frankly. Right? And I expressed how terrible I felt what he did. It's so yeah. His comments yesterday and his decision to do it that way, and by having his wife join him, makes him look a thousand times worse. So I'm gonna let it go for now. It's not worth the energy, frankly, to talk about it. But because he made the statement, I decided to do one more follow up on it, and I'll wait for the Ravens to release him so I can resume my fandom, or they can just make it easy for me and keep wasting time here and spend my money and energy somewhere else. Because yeah, I've gotten to the age where this just doesn't matter. I get if you're a little bit younger, and I don't know if I would have felt this way when I was in high school, as far as just being willing to be done with the Ravens, but I got too many other things going on in my life to care, and I'm just frustrated at Harbaugh and DaCosta for how they've handled this. There's no investigation that needs to be had. An investigation needs to be had if the NFL wants to ban Justin Tucker from the NFL. The Ravens should just release Justin Tucker because Justin Tucker isn't deserving to be a Baltimore Raven, period. And if you're worried about the legal fallout, then I hate to say it, but I'm going to assume that the Ravens knew about this a long time ago, and they're trying to make sure that somehow this doesn't come back negatively on them. It's embarrassing for everybody, and Tucker made it 1,000 times worse, I think, for himself yesterday by releasing that statement, because the Banner reporters gave him one more chance to be like, hey, dude, this is how we did our stuff. Like, you're going to listen. Like I said, go listen to that interview that they did on the Levitard show, then come back and be like, yeah, I think they're just making this up. I think this is just bullshit. They're exaggerating. These women just want to get the kicker, right? They just want to get the kicker. All right, that's it. See you guys Yeah, I'm gonna do a pod tomorrow. Get ready for the weekend here, and hopefully get some freaking winners. Started off great last week, finished off the weekend not exactly the way I wanted on Sunday, and then this week I just keep stubbing my toe here. So hopefully I get some winners going, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.